At around this time every Thursday, it's off to the movies we go. And we do it in the very capable hands of BBC Coventry and Warwickshire movie reviewer, the reviewer for Radio Times magazine and Metro newspaper, James Luxford. How are you, James?
I'm not too bad, thanks.
Recovering from a cold, I gather.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where there's really, it doesn't halt anything. You can sit in a screening room feeling ill as well as you can sit at home feeling ill. So there's no
excuse for
time off really. But
right. Well, look, good to have you here. Thank you very much for coming in and casting your eye over these three for us. Movies opening in Coventry and Warwickshire this weekend, and we start with, they're three sequels, aren't they, this week? Starting with Maleficent.
Yes, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. It's a sequel to Maleficent, as you may have guessed. This time, Angelina Jolie's bond with Princess Aurora is threatened by an evil queen, played by Michelle Pfeiffer.
Philip asked me to marry him.
No.
I wasn't really asking.
Nor was I. Love doesn't always end well, Beastie.
Trust me. Let us prove you wrong.
Yeah. No, I loved Angelina Jolie in the original Maleficent. I thought she really nailed the heel character very well, didn't she? What's this one like?
I didn't like it, I'm afraid.
Really?
I think it's one of those sequels that came along because the first one made a lot of money. And I know every sequel really is because the first one made a lot of money, but when it's so blatant, where there isn't really a new story to tell, it's just a lot of CGI, and I agree, I really like Angelina Jolie as Maleficent, but she doesn't really get a lot of time to be Maleficent because there's always a battle or a spell or some kind of big spectacle that gets in the way. What I did love was Michelle Pfeiffer. I think she's brilliant in everything she's in, but particularly here as a big theatrical evil queen. Although that does kind of negate what the first film was about. The first film was about subverting those ideas where you've got sort of goodies and baddies, and Michelle Pfeiffer here is really just a baddie. And it's a pleasure to see them both together, but it gets a bit drowned out by the effects, I think.
Okay, hopefully this is a bit better, particularly, again, big fan of the original movie, Zombieland.
Yes, Zombieland Double Tap. It's the long-awaited sequel to the 2009 horror comedy, starring Emma Stone, Jesse Eisenberg and Woody Harrelson as survivors of a zombie apocalypse trying to find their best friend.
Whoopsie, I forgot the seatbelt rule.
Oh, so she knows the rules?
I told her just a few of them.
73, are there more?
You're cute. I like it.
Again, Woody Harrelson, brilliant in the original. What was he like this one? This is 10 years on.
I really like this because we're very wary of movies that are very delayed sequels, particularly comedies. Think Anchorman sequel, Zoolander sequel. They were fine, but they weren't particularly worth the wait. This, I think, is, and I suppose this is a bit of a contradiction with what I just said, but about Maleficent, but it is just a bring the band back together sequel, but it's a really good band, so it's quite nice to see them, particularly as you say, Woody Harrelson is just having the time of his life, just really just playing it for laughs, being very silly, and it's just a lot of fun. And I think if you remember the first film, there is quite one of what's being called one of the best cameos ever in the first film from a particular comedic actor. There's a reference to that in the credits, so keep an eye out for that.
Oh, really? Good tip. All right, good stuff. All right, moving on then. Half-term holidays are with us, and Shaun the Sheep, Farmageddon.
Yeah, the sequel to Shaun the Sheep, the movie. Wallace and Gromit's spin-off character, I suppose, returns to help a lost alien find his way home. And
if you remember the original Shaun the Sheep movie, as I do, took my kids to it, there are no words in it. So as a result of that, the little clip of this movie, bear that in mind, please, when you listen to this. See, the fact there's no dialogue just makes that sound even funnier, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, I didn't factor that in. It doesn't make good radio, does it? That clip. I enjoyed this. I think it's still got that real kind of Aardman sensibility to it, very innocent fun, a lot of good moments there. The opening bit where there's a man sort of on his way home with fish and chips, sees an alien, runs away, drops his chips, then you just wait a couple of beats and he runs back for his chips. And it's just
Very
little
Nick
jokes
Park.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I thought the first film was actually quite special. I think it's a really good film on the level of like a Pixar. This isn't quite there. It's another one where you think...
My fear was, once all the posters go up in the cinema, was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And they're going to ruin it, aren't they?
I don't think they ruin it. I do think, the alien being brought in, the cynical side of me thinks, well, was that brought in to sell a toy? So it's a bit crammed together, but it's still got enough comedy, particularly the most animations, to keep particularly young viewers happy.
Which, of course, with our term in mind, is exactly what hopefully there will be. Good to see you, James. Get well soon. Thanks very much indeed. James Luxford from the Radio Times and Metro newspaper, where you can regularly read his reviews, and with us, of course, every Thursday between 4:30 and 5 on BBC Coventry and Warwickshire.